Hey guys, tonight we slip into the soft early light of Louisville, Kentucky, around the year 1949. A sleepy southern hum lingers in the air, and you can almost smell the honeysuckle outside the Clay family home. In a small shared bedroom sits a boy with wide eyes and an even wider imagination, 10-year-old Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. He's already a storm in motion, but not the kind you think. No, not yet. At this hour, the neighborhood's quiet. Too early for bicycles to vanish, too early for bullies to pick their targets, and far too early for greatness to announce itself. But Cassius? He's already whispering. To himself. In the mirror. That mirror is nothing special, just a thin, wobbling rectangle hammered crooked into the wall. The kind that fogs over when the pipes rattle, even if you're not running water. And yet, Cassius stares into it like it's a magic portal. He leans forward, makes a face like he's pretending to be someone else, someone braver maybe, and says softly, "You're gonna be something. You just watch." You probably wouldn't survive the rest of this kid's day, by the way. Bullies who hated his confidence, teachers who told him to sit down, a stolen red and white Schwinn that would set his whole legend in motion. But right now, he's just breathing gently, repeating a line he's heard no one else say to him. "You're enough." You trail behind him into the kitchen, where the linoleum squeaks and the fridge rattles like an old man clearing his throat. His younger brother, Rudy, is still snoring in the next room, and his parents won't be up for at least another hour. Cassius is barefoot. His thoughts? Not so much. He's not like the other boys. He's anxious, sensitive, too aware. You see him bite his thumb when he's worried. Watch how he talks to himself while buttering toast that keeps falling apart in his hands. You get the sense he's not just hyping himself up. He's comforting someone inside him that's scared. And this is what makes his mirror moments so unusual. They're not loud. The media later paints him as all noise, all ego, all volume. But in these early years, the real voice is a whisper. "Don't worry, they'll see. You just keep working. You got rhythm, baby." One quirky little fact. Cassius had an irrational fear of flying before he became world famous. Refused to board a plane without a parachute. His coach eventually got him to calm down by making him do affirmations into a bathroom mirror at the airport. Even at 12, the mirror was his peacekeeper. And biographers still debate whether the pep talks began because he was confident or because he was so insecure he had to build a version of himself he could believe in. Some say he was born self-assured. Others argue he sculpted it, one gentle morning at a time. You follow him outside now, stepping into the Louisville morning chill. He wraps his jacket tighter and mounts that old bike his dad helped him find after the first one got stolen. And you already know, don't you? That theft would lead him to Joe Martin's gym, where he'd first throw a punch, first see a ring, first realize what power felt like when it didn't come from yelling, but from moving. But even then, even as he trains, even when his knuckles bruise and his ribs ache from practice, Cassius still starts the day the same way, alone, quiet, looking himself in the eyes and saying what no one else ever seemed to. "You've got this." You're back inside that old gym, where the floors smell like sweat and sawdust, and the air carries the sharp tang of liniment oil and ambition. This is the Columbia Gym in downtown Louisville, Joe Martin's little kingdom of discipline and hopeful boys. You hover beside a battered locker, its door hanging just a little crooked on one rusted hinge, and you see it. The mirror. A cracked thing, no bigger than a magazine page, probably rescued from someone's curb. Its silvering has peeled at the corners, and the reflection bends just enough to make one eye look a bit higher than the other. But to Cassius, now 12 and wiry, that mirror is as sacred as any shrine. He leans in. This isn't vanity. It's ritual. His face is still smooth, baby fat clinging to the jawline, and his fists are too small for the gloves Joe makes him wear. But his voice? It's calm. You don't gotta hit hard today. Just be fast. Be smooth. Be sweet with it. It's not the kind of pep talk you'd expect from the man who would call himself the greatest. There's no shouting, no flexing, just rhythm. He talks like he's floating already, even though he hasn't yet learned to dance. You shift back a little, watching him tie his laces with deliberate care, the way someone lights a candle. Joe Martin shouts across the room for another boy to keep his hands up. But Cassius is in his own world. You notice it. Before every sparring session, he touches that mirror with 2 fingers, left, then right, like a boxer's blessing. And here's something wild. Joe Martin wasn't sold on him at first, said he was too mouthy, too soft. But Cassius's obsession with ritual, his consistency, won the coach over. The mirror talks weren't about flash, they were about control. They were how the kid centered himself before everything spun too fast. By now, he's already competing. Winning, even. He brings home little medals and tapes them inside his bedroom closet, but he doesn't show them off. Not yet. Instead, he polishes his footwork in the gym while whispering lines like, "Don't rush, they'll come to you. You just dance." And here's the thing nobody tells you. Most great fighters are angry, driven by something hot, sharp, and impossible to put down. But young Cassius, he's fueled by something quieter, something like music. You start to realize those gentle mirror talks aren't about ego, they're lullabies for his nerves. Biographers still argue about when the persona kicked in, when the bombast showed up. Some say he was always performing, even in diapers. Others swear there was a clear line, before Rome and after, before the world told him who he had to be. But in this gym, he's still soft-spoken, still figuring it out. You follow him into the ring, where his sparring partner outweighs him by at least 30 pounds. You can see the hesitation in Cassius's shoulders, but then, just before the bell rings, he turns toward the mirror again. Be light, be lovely, be out before they know you are in. And sure enough, he floats. He's not knocking anyone out yet, but he's hard to hit. You catch Joe muttering under his breath, something about how the kid moves like smoke. After training, the gym empties. The other boys head out for sodas and comic books. But Cassius lingers. You stay with him as he peels off the gloves, sits on the wooden bench and, looks into the mirror one last time. He's got a cut on his lip and sweat sticking his hair to his forehead, but his eyes are steady. He says, "Good job today. You did your best. That's enough." Let that sink in. A boy in segregated Kentucky, facing poverty, racism, and fists coming at his face every afternoon, and what he tells himself is, that's enough. That cracked mirror saw it all. The first black eye, the first burst of speed that made a crowd gasp, the first hint of swagger. But more than that, it saw the beginning of a lifelong habit. Ali would build a career on volume, but he built himself on softness. You see it in every calm breath, every nod to his own reflection. And every morning, in every locker room, that mirror got the best version of him, the version trying hardest not to crumble. You wake up with him now in a motel just outside Chicago, the kind with buzzing neon signs and a vending machine that only works if you punch it just right. He's 15, a Golden Gloves contender, traveling without his parents for the first time, and the silence of the morning feels bigger than the room. There's a single light bulb above the sink and a rectangular slice of mirror pressed into the wall. It's not much, but he leans into it like it holds the truth. He rubs his eyes, splashes cold water on his face, and doesn't flinch at his reflection. This is part of it. This is how he gets ready, not just to fight, but to stay whole. He whispers, "You're good, you trained, you belong here." Then he chuckles softly, "And you still look pretty." This is where the duality begins, where the loud mouth we all remember starts to bloom, but not without the quiet gardener behind the scenes. He's not cocky in the mirror. Not yet. Not even close. It's more like a gentle check-in. A way of reassuring the kid behind the fighter that it's okay to be scared, as long as you keep dancing. Outside, there's chaos waiting, opponents, coaches, crooked promoters. And behind him, a country that still tells boys who look like him to shut up, sit down, and accept less. But this moment right here, this mirror talk, it's his. It's quiet and private and safe. He doesn't tell anyone about these talks, not his trainers, not even Rudy. He jokes on the bus, brags before the weigh-in, poses for photos with his gloves slung over his shoulder, but only the mirror gets the soft stuff. Only the mirror hears things like, "Just breathe, they're nervous too. Let them swing first. You're smarter than your fear." And it works. You're ringside that night as he dances his way through the first few rounds. Not the hardest hitter yet, but slippery, unpredictable. He dodges like he's dreaming, smiling mid-swing, as if hearing music only he understands. The crowd notices. The judges notice. But more importantly, he notices. He wins. by decision. It's close, but it's his. And later, back at the motel, he doesn't jump on the bed or yell into the hallway like some kids might. He stands barefoot again, facing that same tired mirror, and says, "You did it. I told you." Here's a quirky fact you might love. During his amateur years, Cassius used to repeat little rhymes into mirrors before fights. Not the famous, "I'm so pretty" ones, but sweet, silly ones. Things like, "The sun comes up, the gloves go on, just keep moving, don't get drawn." He called them bounce spells, like boxing charms for good luck. You won't find those in documentaries, but they were real. And here's something the historians debate. Was this early persona, the confident jokester, a mask to hide the fear? Or was it the natural evolution of someone who finally believed the things he'd whispered for years? Some say it was all performance. Others argue it was therapy. And then there are those who insist it was both. You ride the bus home with him, the medal heavy in his lap, and the city passing by like a silent audience. He's tired, but calm. The other boys chatter. He just hums quietly, head against the glass, because he already had the most important win of the night. His nerves didn't eat him alive. His words worked. The mirror spell held strong. And you know what else? He's starting to like who he sees in that reflection. He doesn't need the world to say it yet. He'll do it himself, gently, every single morning. The sun creeps through a hotel curtain in Rome, soft and gold, like it's blessing the day before it even begins. You're with him now at 18, still technically Cassius Clay, but barely. He's sitting at the edge of a narrow twin bed, Olympic warm-up jacket slipping off one shoulder, mouth slightly open from sleep. This is the morning he becomes legend. But before he does, he stands up slowly and walks to the bathroom mirror. His face is fuller now, more confident, but still you catch the boy underneath. He yawns, rubs the sleep out of his eyes, then leans in and whispers, "You ready? You look ready. You good? Good." This morning is different. Not louder, but more certain. There's a softness to it, yes, but also a kind of click, as if the gears inside have found their rhythm. He smiles at himself, not a smug smirk, but the kind of smile you give a teammate before the buzzer. There's no crowd here, no trainers with clipboards, no cameras, just him, barefoot on tile, breathing through nerves like they're an old friend. He says, "They don't know it yet, but you do, you know." And that's it. He doesn't need more. He walks out, body still stretching into its future, heart pounding with calm adrenaline, not cocky, centered. The Olympic village is buzzing, full of accents and swagger, future champions and fragile hopes. But he drifts through it like he's already dreamed the day before. You follow him into the arena, and something in the air shifts. By the third round of the final, it's clear. He's faster, cleaner, sharper. The punches don't even look like they hurt because they land so beautifully. The gold medal is his before the bell even rings, and still, he heads back to that mirror. Everyone else is celebrating, swarming, shouting, but not him, not yet. He closes the bathroom door, splashes cold water on his face, and grins at the boy in the glass. Then he says something simple, "Time to change the name." Biographers love to mark this moment, the gold medal as the true beginning. But they argue over whether the confidence came from the win or from the quiet years leading to it. Was he made in Rome or just revealed? And here's a detail you probably didn't know. That night, when asked how he stayed calm before the match, Cassius said, "I told myself what my mirror tells me. You're ready when you feel soft inside." Soft, not tough. That was always his code. When he gets home, he tries wearing the medal around town. Feels proud, sure, but he also sees the cracks. A restaurant refuses to serve him. The gold doesn't shield him from the real world. So he rides his bike to the river one night. Yes, that same red and white Schwinn kind of night. And legend says he throws the medal into the Ohio. Some people say he lost it. Others insist it was a political act. And some biographers even question whether it happened at all. But here's what you saw. A young man standing by the river the next morning. looking at his reflection in the water. No medal, no applause, just him, just his own soft voice saying, "Start again." Bigger this time. And not long after, he meets Malcolm X. He begins listening to something deeper, something ancient and defiant. That's when the transformation begins, not just of the name, but of the mission. Cassius becomes Muhammad, but not overnight. First, he has to tell it to himself, every morning, in that same mirror voice. "Muhammad, that's your name now. You chose it. Say it soft. Mean it loud." It's 1964 now, and you're tucked inside a hotel bathroom just hours before the fight that will change everything. Cassius Clay versus Sonny Liston. Miami is humid even in February. The mirror fogs up faster than he can wipe it clear, but he tries anyway. He leans forward, 22 and electric, heart pounding beneath a robe that doesn't fit quite right. The world outside says he's too wild, too thin, too silly, a clown, no chance. And in public? He plays it up, calls Liston a bear, claims he'll whoop him, throws poetry at microphones like left hooks. But here, in this quiet, he's not shouting. He whispers. They think they know, but they don't know what's in here. He taps his chest once. You've got wind. You've got footwork. You're not fighting him. You're dancing him dizzy. This is where the showman fades, and the soft talker steps in. He paces barefoot on cold tile, nodding like he's giving advice to his best friend, not himself. No rhymes now, just breath and rhythm. Don't swing wild. Stay clean. Eyes up, in and out. Don't forget who you are. That last line sticks. You can almost feel the air hold its breath as he says it. And here's the funny part. His trainer Angelo Dundee later admitted he thought the kid was acting up for the press, playing the fool. But when Dundee accidentally overheard one of those mirror talks, he said it was like eavesdropping on someone praying to themselves. The crowd outside grows louder. You hear it. Horns, chants, someone shouting Cassius's name down the hallway. But he doesn't flinch. Not yet. He turns back to the mirror one last time before stepping into history and says, "Float. Float first. Sting later." And you know how it plays out. You're ringside now, watching him dart around Liston like a gust of laughter, never in the same place twice. His gloves don't thunder. They kiss the air. When he wins, when Liston quits on the stool, the room explodes. He screams to the crowd, "I'm the greatest." And suddenly the world believes him. But you know the truth. The first time he said it, it was to a fogged-up mirror, a whisper, not a roar. That night, the name change becomes real, not just legally, but spiritually. Cassius Clay vanishes. Muhammad Ali is born in front of the cameras, but it's not performative, it's sacred. He tells the press, "I don't have to be who you say I am." And they don't like that. Suddenly, he's not just the champ, he's controversial. His name, his faith, his voice, it all threatens to float beyond their control. Biographers debate if this moment was premeditated, if the name change was planned for maximum impact. Some claim Malcolm X orchestrated the timing. Others say Ali made the call himself, quietly, long before anyone heard it. But you saw what mattered. You were there when he first whispered, "Muhammad," to his reflection, like it was a secret he'd been aching to say aloud. And that's the thing people forget. His greatest battles weren't always in the ring. They were in bathrooms before sunrise, in silence, when the world wasn't watching. He told himself he was beautiful. He told himself he was enough. He told himself the truth. And somehow, that made it true for the rest of us. Now you're in exile with him. Not in a prison cell, not quite. But it feels that way. It's 1967. He's just refused induction into the U.S. military, citing his faith, his conscience, and the quiet knowledge that no Vietnamese ever called him the N-word. They strip him of his title, suspend his license, and suddenly, the greatest isn't allowed to fight. But he still rises early, still finds the mirror, only now it stares back from dim apartments and borrowed bedrooms. Sometimes it's in a cheap motel, sometimes in a borrowed church office. You never quite know where he'll wake up, but always, always he checks in with himself. This is the Ali people forget. Not the shouter, the whisperer. He doesn't throw punches in the morning anymore. He throws words, low, deliberate, and meant only for himself. They hate you. You know that, but you're still right. He stands shirtless in the mirror, body still chiseled, but now softening just slightly. The abs are there, but the edges blur from inactivity. He touches his stomach, squints, and says, "That's all right. Keep your soul in shape. The rest'll come back." You watch him take a seat beside the mirror, elbows on knees. He doesn't rehearse insults anymore. He rehearses compassion, not for the public, for himself. Here's something strange and sweet. During this time, Ali starts writing more poetry, not just for press conferences, but for his daughter, Hannah. Short verses about trees and dreams. He'd test them out in front of mirrors, reading softly like bedtime stories. Not everything had to float or sting. Some things just had to land gently. He begins to speak at colleges, Howard, Harvard, tiny ones in between. And before each speech, he finds a mirror, even if it's just a car window, and quietly says, "Don't give 'em fire, give 'em light." Biographers argue about the toll exile took on him. Some say it broke his rhythm, cost him the prime years of his body. Others argue it forged the myth, made him more than a boxer. But you see the middle. You see a man maintaining his identity not through defiance, but through daily kindness to himself. He wasn't preaching to crowds at sunrise. He was preaching to the mirror. He reads every headline calling him washed up, cowardly, done. And every morning, without fail, he counters with a smile and a murmur. They don't know the rounds don't start until the bell rings. He works out, yes, but alone. No cameras. Just him, a jump rope, and his reflection. And before he starts, he says something you wouldn't expect. "Be gentle, champ. Don't fight yourself today." That line right there, that's the soul of him. He wasn't just trying to get back in shape. He was trying not to lose who he was when the lights were gone, when the fans were silent, when no one was chanting his name but him. And here's a moment you'll carry. One night in '68, he's staring into a handheld mirror backstage before a fundraiser. The power goes out briefly. A full blackout. People panic, rustling, bumping into chairs. But Ali, he keeps whispering, alone in the dark. "No light? Doesn't matter. I still see me." The jungle hums. You're in Zaire now, October 30th, 1974, and the air presses against your skin like warm hands. It's hours before sunrise, and already the city vibrates with drums and whispered bets. You're in the dressing room before the rumble in the jungle, but it doesn't feel like a locker room. It feels like a chapel. Muhammad sits alone, wrapped in a towel, eyes fixed on the mirror across the room. Not flexing, not shadowboxing, just breathing. This is the moment people imagine him hyping himself up with thunder and swagger. But you hear it, clear as birdsong. His pep talk is a chant, soft and holy. This is not for me. This is for them. This is not for belts. This is for belief. He paces barefoot, then returns to the mirror like it's a familiar face. He hums, not a song, but a rhythm. He's aligning himself. You hear him say, "Let him throw, let him swing, rope, rock, rise." He's already invented the rope-a-dope, though no one quite knows it yet, not even Foreman. The strategy came to him like a dream, and this morning, he's explaining it to himself with a childlike patience, as if his body needs to hear it from a friend before it'll obey. Here's a quirky detail. That day, Ali brushed his teeth 5 times before the fight. "Can't let no man knock the breath out of you when it stinks," he joked. But privately, he'd said it helped him feel clean inside, sharp, ready. If your mouth feels right, he told his reflection, your words will too. Biographers still debate whether he knew the plan would work. Some say it was desperation, others say divine instinct. But no one argues the importance of this ritual, this quiet conference with himself. He speaks to the mirror again. He's stronger, but you're smarter. He's younger, but you've lived. Let him tire, let him burn. And when it's time, he smiles, slow and sure. You turn the lights out. You're with him now in the ring's corner, round after round, as he lets Foreman punch himself breathless. The crowd grows restless, the announcers confused. But Ali's voice in his own head is calm. Rope, rock, rise. And then it happens. In the 8th round, he slips a punch, angles his body, and unleashes a combination that's pure poetry. Left, right, light as breath. Foreman falls. The jungle erupts. Ali doesn't just win. He reclaims everything. His crown, his rhythm, his myth. But before the interviews, before the celebrations, he goes back to the mirror. He stands there, bruised but beautiful, sweat drying on his skin like gold dust. And he whispers, "Told you." Here's the thing. The world sees the victory. They hear the post-fight bravado. "I shook up the world." They'll quote forever. But you remember the quiet voice, the chant, the breath before the storm. He didn't shout himself into greatness. He whispered himself there every morning. It's colder now, not frigid, but biting. You're in the Pennsylvania woods, deep in Ali's training camp at Deer Lake. The cabins are humble, the trees tall and watchful. And in the pre-dawn hush, Muhammad shuffles into the kitchen, not to cook, but to find his mirror. He's got a microwave now, a modern amenity in a Spartan setup. And it's not plugged in for food, it's there for its reflection. The chrome door catches his image, warped slightly, like a funhouse version of himself. But he doesn't mind. He leans in anyway, eyes soft, towel around his neck, steam rising from a chipped mug in his hands. He sips and smiles. We're still here. Look at you. Still you. His body's different now, slower, a bit thicker in the middle. He knows it. You hear him address it gently. We're gonna stretch more today. Go easy on the knees. But the voice, still sharp. The feet, still know the song. You watch as he pads barefoot across the wood floor to a corner punching bag. He touches it, doesn't hit it, just rests his hand there like an old friend. He's not in a rush anymore. He trains like a sculptor, chiseling gently, whispering lines to himself with every jab. Quirky truth? At Deer Lake, Ali had signs nailed to trees with his favorite phrases. Stuff like, "Champions are made, not born," and "Impossible is nothing." Years before it was a sneaker slogan. He'd walk the trail reading them aloud, then finish at the cabin, where he'd recite the last line into the microwave door. Be beautiful today. Just once is enough. People think of Ali in crowds, on cameras, under lights. But at Deer Lake, he was a man among trees. He'd split logs in silence, then sit on the porch and whisper to his reflection in a soup spoon. They still don't know what you are. That's your edge. Biographers point to this era, post-Zaire, pre-Spinks, as the golden dusk of Ali's career. The fights got harder, but the man got deeper. You see it in his eyes as he recites full conversations to his reflection, gentle debates with himself. You want to quit? Not yet. You want to win? Then breathe. Just breathe. There's a softness to him now, but not weakness. He's evolving. The mirror talks aren't about building up anymore. They're about maintenance, peacekeeping, self-parenting. He goes days without touching a glove, just meditating and walking. Sometimes he talks to the trees, sometimes to the ice on the riverbank, but always, to the mirror. And here's the part no one documents. After evening training, after the team's gone quiet, Ali would sit at the kitchen table, turn the microwave ever so slightly toward him, and just look. Not fix anything, not adjust. Just see himself. One night, you hear him murmur, "There you are." Then, softer still, "Don't forget how far you came, even if they do." You realize something in that moment. The mirror never claps, never boos, never writes headlines, but it listens. And for Ali, that was enough. Tonight you find yourself backstage at a TV studio, carpeted hallways, humming lights, makeup mirrors rimmed with too many bulbs. It's the late 70s now, and Muhammad Ali is the guest everyone's waiting for. The host keeps peeking down the corridor. The producer fans herself with cue cards. Even the band's a little sharper than usual. But Ali? He's calm. Slower moving than before, sure, but he hasn't lost that graceful sprawl in the shoulders, that air of control. He slips into the green room, towel around his neck, water bottle in hand, and walks straight to the mirror. Not the main one, not the flashy lighted mirror with 3 assistants hovering around it. No, he finds a small scratched one on the side wall. Alone, he leans close, real close, nose nearly touching the glass. And then he talks. They want the funny lines, the rhymes. Give him a little. But be kind. Be Muhammad, not just Ali. It's a beautiful distinction, one the public rarely caught. Ali was the myth. Muhammad was the man. And before every late-night show, every radio interview, every speech, he gave the man a chance to speak softly to the myth. You see him roll his shoulders. He looks tired, but not defeated. His mirror voice has changed, less rhythm, more breath. Still gentle, still encouraging. Don't rush, let them come to you, then smile. He practices a few lines, not his zingers, his quiet stuff. A story about his daughters, a memory about his mother's fried chicken. He mouths the words slowly, making sure they feel natural coming out. Not funny, warm. Here's something weird and kind of wonderful. Sometimes when a camera crew tried to sneak backstage footage, Ali would hide in the green room closet, just to keep his mirror talk private. He'd say, "They can hear my rhymes, but not my whispers." He protected those. Biographers still ask, was the offstage Ali real, or just a performance of humility? But you saw it, you heard it. In the quiet moments before the show, he'd look himself dead in the eye and say, "You're gonna make 'em laugh. Make sure you make 'em feel too." And then, back straight, lips pressed together in a half smile, he'd walk out and light up the room. The jokes would land, the crowd would roar. He'd float from one chair to the next, switching between charm and fire. But you stay behind in the dressing room, staring into that little mirror where the real prep happened. And right before he re-enters the room to say his goodbyes, he returns to it. One last glance. He smooths his shirt, adjusts his tie, nods. Good job, champ. Now go get some sleep. It's not always about the fight. Sometimes, the win is just making it through the evening without letting the noise drown your quiet voice. It's quieter now. The kind of quiet that settles in long before dawn and stays long after breakfast. You're in a guest room in Berrien Springs, Michigan, Allie's new home. The house sits on acres of stillness, surrounded by trees and soft-shouldered hills. No more entourage, no more bells, just Muhammad, Parkinson's, and time. He still rises early, old habits, but now it takes longer to get up. His hands tremble slightly as he pushes himself upright. The joints ache, the limbs resist. Still, he moves. He always moves. You follow him to the bathroom. The tiles are warm beige, the countertop simple. And the mirror? It's clean, big, kind. The sort of mirror that doesn't criticize, just observes. He leans in, breathes onto the glass, watches the fog form and fade. Then he says, "Good morning, old friend." It's not dramatic, not even fully audible, but it's there, a voice like a song's last note, held just long enough to mean something. His eyes still sparkle, even if the lids hang a little heavier now. He examines himself with curiosity, not judgment. You're still here. We're still here. The tremors are undeniable now. His voice comes out softer, lower, but not sad. Never that. Instead, he laughs, at his reflection, at the way his body rebels, at how long it takes to brush his teeth these days. You hear him mutter, "Told you to slow down. You listen too well." Quirky little fact? Ali used to race his kids to the mirror. Whoever got there first got to win the morning, as he put it. Even when his legs slowed, he'd shuffle with exaggerated effort just to make them laugh. His daughter Hannah once said the best part of her day was hearing her dad whisper, "I let you win." The debate rages among sports writers and fans. Was it a mistake to fight so long? Should he have stopped earlier? Could he have avoided the disease's grip? Some say yes. Others say he had to keep going, to teach, to show, to endure. But you see the man in the mirror, nodding slowly as he brushes the side of his face with his knuckles. You gave it all. That was the deal. You knew. There's a moment, small, forgettable to anyone else, when he opens the cabinet and pulls out a razor. He stares at it for a beat too long, then sets it down. Not today. Ain't no crowd to impress. And yet, he still shaves, shakily, carefully, for himself, because the man in the mirror deserves that effort, even if the cameras are gone. You stay with him through breakfast, through his morning walk outside. He stops now and then, glancing at his reflection in the sliding glass door. Each time, he says something gentle. Good work. Keep going. You're doing fine. He doesn't need fire anymore. He needs kindness, the same kindness he always gave himself, the same mirror pep talks, but now quieter, more precious. And maybe, just maybe, that softness was always the strongest part of him. Today you're walking beside him, slow and steady, into a crowded school gym, fold-out chairs, eager faces, a buzz that only builds when someone whispers, "He's here." The kids don't believe it at first. Muhammad Ali, here, in our school? But then he walks in, and the room hushes, awestruck. He doesn't move quickly anymore. His hands shake, his voice is soft. But when he smiles, it's like someone turned the lights up just a little brighter. He takes a seat on the edge of the stage. No spotlight, no grand entrance music, just him, resting his hands on his knees, waiting until everyone stops rustling. And then, his eyes find the mirror. Not a real one, there's no backstage tonight, but it's there in his mind. He doesn't need glass to reflect anymore. He sees himself in every nervous fourth grader, every shy teen avoiding eye contact, every kid who doesn't yet believe their own face belongs on a poster. Before he speaks to them, he closes his eyes and mouths a phrase you've heard 100 times. Make him feel strong, make him feel seen. That's his new pep talk, not for himself anymore, but for the room. He tells stories, some short, some silly, one about how he used to practice speed by flicking the light switch off and getting in bed before the room went dark. They laugh, and in that laughter, he softens. Then he gets serious, looks out at the rows of kids and says something he once whispered only to mirrors. You are already great. You just gotta believe it before they do. Here's a sweet little detail. Ali used to carry small mirrors in his pockets on these school visits, just dollar store compacts. He'd give them out to kids and say, "So you can practice your pep talks." One kid, years later, said that mirror kept her going through all of high school. Biographers note that these school tours were never mandatory. He wasn't paid. He wasn't promoting anything. He just liked giving something away that didn't cost money. Belief. And there's an unspoken debate about legacy. Is it the fights, the medals, the speeches, or is it this, these quiet moments where a man who once shook the world now helps children shake off shame? You know what Ali would say. He'd point to a kid in the front row, hands folded tightly in their lap, and whisper under his breath, "There's the next champ. They just don't know it yet." After the Q&A, after the photos, you follow him to a teacher's lounge, where he sits quietly and sips juice from a plastic cup. He's tired, his tremors worse, but his eyes find the reflective surface of the microwave door, another makeshift mirror. He leans in and smiles, mouth barely moving. They listened. You did good. And he did, not by performing, but by passing it on. The gift of soft beginnings, of kind affirmations, of talking to yourself like someone worth believing in. It's 1980, and you're in the dressing room of Caesar's palace. The lights are harsh, the air dry, the stakes quietly enormous. Muhammad Ali is getting ready to fight Larry Holmes, his former sparring partner, now a rising champion. Ali is 38. The body isn't moving like it used to. The hands are slower, the reflexes dulled, but still, he finds the mirror. It's a narrow one now, bolted above a cluttered sink. He leans in close, not out of vanity, never that, but out of ritual. This mirror has seen him young, old, injured, triumphant. Tonight it sees him tired. He stares a long time before speaking. His face has changed, fuller, eyes heavier. But when he speaks, the voice is still there, soft, gentle, steady. You don't need to win, you just need to last. There's no performance here, no camera-ready swagger, just a man reminding himself that showing up, just showing up, still matters. He massages his jaw with trembling fingers and says, "You ain't here to prove nothing, you're here to remember." This fight is a return, but also a farewell in disguise. Most people in the room know it, even if they don't say it out loud. The reporters whisper that he's too old, too slow, that the magic's gone. But he hears none of it, just his breath, just his mirror voice. Smile for him, give him a show. but protect what's left of you. You watch him lace his boots with hands that don't obey like they used to. Each knot is slower, but more deliberate. Then he stands, sways a little, and whispers, "Be kind to yourself tonight." And that line hits different, doesn't it? Biographers argue about this moment. Some say he should have never returned, that it stained his legacy. Others believe Holmes never beat Ali, only his shadow. But in the middle of that argument sits a man, looking at himself in a mirror, not with shame, but with care. Here's a tender, overlooked fact. Ali asked that the locker room mirror be left uncovered after the fight. "I want to see what they saw," he said, not in bitterness, in curiosity, in honesty. And the fight? It's brutal. Holmes is younger, stronger, devastating. Ali barely throws. The bell rings, round after round, and each time he returns to the corner, you see him whisper, not to the crowd, not to the corner, but to himself. One more. Just stand up one more. By the 10th round, Dundee stops the fight. The corner throws in the towel. Ali doesn't protest. He nods, understands. Afterward, in the quiet dressing room, he sits shirtless beneath the fluorescent lights. No crowd, no interview, just the mirror. He leans in again and says, "That was enough. Thank you." You realize this isn't defeat, it's grace. The kind that only comes from knowing your limits and loving yourself anyway. And maybe that's the most Ali thing of all. The flame flickers, the crowd hushes, and somewhere beneath the roar of a worldwide broadcast, you're beside him again, this time in Atlanta, 1996. It's the Olympics, a celebration of youth, strength, and spectacle. And yet, in this massive modern coliseum, all eyes are on a man who shakes. Muhammad Ali, chosen to light the Olympic torch, stands backstage in a white windbreaker. His hands tremble, his jaw tightens. This isn't nerves, it's Parkinson's, and it's getting worse. But he's here. You catch him in a tiny preparation room, away from the noise. There's a dusty mirror leaned awkwardly on a folding table, meant for makeup touch-ups, not legendary pep talks. He steps toward it. His legs drag slightly, but still, he leans in. He closes one eye, squints at the man staring back, and murmurs, "You got light. You always had it." This time it's not about speed, not about floating or stinging. It's about standing still, trembling, exposed, and choosing to be seen anyway. He lifts his right hand slowly, the one the world remembers throwing jabs, and steadies it on the mirror's edge. Don't try to hide it. Let him see it. That's the point. It's the quietest kind of bravery. The team checks on him. They ask if he's ready. He nods but doesn't move just yet. He has one more thing to say. "You're going to show the whole world what courage really looks like." Biographers call this one of the most iconic Olympic moments of all time. Some say it redefined him, that it was no longer about his fists but his endurance. Others argue the committee used him for sentimentality. But you saw the decision happen in real time, in front of a mirror, in a whisper. Here's a little-known fact. Ali insisted on no teleprompter, no backup plan. "If I can't do it, I'll say so." That was his condition. He wanted honesty, not spectacle, vulnerability as legacy. You follow him out now, into the stadium. The cheers are deafening. His arms shake, his jaw quivers, but the flame, steady. He lifts the torch. The crowd explodes. It's not a perfect moment. That's the beauty of it. It's real. And somehow, his hands, though trembling, don't drop it. Not once. The flame finds its place. The cauldron erupts, and the sky lights up. Afterward, back in the dressing room, the mirror's still there. He sits down, towel around his neck, hands resting gently in his lap. He looks at his reflection one more time and says, "You did it, old man. You lit the whole world." And for once, the mirror says nothing back. It doesn't have to. It's a quiet morning now, years later, and you're inside his home. Not a mansion, not a museum, just a soft, lived-in space in Scottsdale, Arizona. A recliner by the window, family photos everywhere. The hum of the refrigerator is the loudest thing in the room. Muhammad Ali doesn't move much these days. The Parkinson's is deep now, his speech faint, his hands curled gently into themselves. But you can tell he's still there. That spark hasn't left. It just flickers lower, closer to the wick. And yet, the mirror is still part of the morning. He's not standing in front of it anymore. He sits. Someone wheels him toward it. Usually one of his daughters, sometimes Lonnie. always with care. They know what it means to him. The mirror now hangs above a simple guest bathroom sink. White tiles, no polish. But to him, it might as well be gold. His eyes meet his reflection. It takes effort. You see it, the slight lean forward, the focusing squint. He doesn't say much. Can't. But what comes out is soft and sacred. Still you. That's it. No rhymes, no chants, just those two words. And then a smile. The kind that starts in the eyes and spills down the cheeks in slow motion. He's aged, yes. The skin sags, the muscles fade. But the kindness? Still razor sharp. Every morning, without fail, someone hears him whisper something to the mirror. Some days it's, "You don't have to prove a thing." Other days, "Let the world remember the light." And often, just, "Thank you." Here's a small but lovely detail. One of Ali's grandkids decorated that mirror with star stickers, sparkly ones, blue and silver. They stuck a tiny paper crown in the corner with glue and told him, "So you remember you're the king, even if you forget." He never removed it. Biographers don't talk about this mirror. They talk about Kinshasa, about draft resistance, about the 3-time champion. But this is what his family remembers. The slow mornings, the gentle rituals, the way he'd smile at himself and say, "You were loud enough for one lifetime. Now be soft." You sit with him as the sun spills through the window. He watches birds outside with the same calm he once brought to the ring. Sometimes he points at his reflection and winks. Sometimes he just nods. And sometimes he falls asleep right there in the chair, the mirror catching the soft rise and fall of his chest, like a lullaby you've heard 1,000 times, but never quite remembered until now. Because even when the words fade, the ritual holds. The mirror remains. The whisper becomes breath. The breath becomes peace. It's a bedroom now, dim, gentle. The curtains are drawn halfway, letting in just enough light to paint the carpet in soft streaks. The hum of a distant fan, the occasional creak of floorboards. You're in Muhammad Ali's final sanctuary. No audience, no entourage, just quiet, steady care. The mirror's not in the bathroom anymore. It's been moved to a corner table beside the bed, simple frame, a little dust on the edges. It doesn't catch his full face now, just a slice. But it's enough. He's resting mostly. His breathing is shallow but steady, like waves far from shore. Family comes and goes, some holding his hand, others pressing kisses to his cheek. Sometimes his eyes open, and when they do, they look, always, toward the mirror. Not in fear, not in sadness, in recognition. There you are. There aren't many words left now. Parkinson's has claimed his voice, but not his presence. And when his daughter sits by him and whispers, "What are you thinking, Daddy?" he doesn't speak. He just looks at the mirror and smiles. The family says he still mouths things to himself. Little movements, like an echo with no sound. No one knows exactly what he's saying, but you do, because you've heard it your whole life beside him. He's saying, "You did good. You were brave. You kept your promise. And maybe, just maybe, it's okay to rest now." One nurse, quietly emotional, said she once caught him lifting 2 fingers toward the mirror, brushing it just barely. Left, then right. Just like he used to in the gym, just like a goodbye. The world doesn't stop when he passes, but it pauses, as if a ripple moves through every ring, every playground, every pair of gloves ever laced up with shaky hands and stubborn hearts. Biographers try to sum him up. The greatest boxer of all time, the conscience of a nation, the mouth of the century. But the truth? It's softer. He was a boy who learned to speak kindly to himself, and never stopped. And now, a final wind down. The house is quiet. The mirror sits untouched in the corner, reflecting nothing but fading afternoon light. A breeze rustles the curtain, just once. A fan hums gently, barely louder than a breath. You're sitting beside the empty chair now, the one where he used to sip tea and tap his fingers to invisible rhythms. The cushion still carries the shape of him. You imagine he's just stepped out for a moment, maybe a walk in the garden, or to tell a grandchild a silly rhyme. The walls are lined with memories, not trophies, not belts, but photos, letters, tiny framed drawings signed to Grandpa. Outside, a bird calls once. Pauses. Then again, softer. You feel the stillness stretch. Not heavy, not hollow, just full of the love he left behind. And in that final mirror, still standing, still catching light, you see nothing but quiet. The kind of quiet that says, "You're safe now." The kind of quiet that says, "Sleep."